And we are also live here on the K-Rad Radio Podcast. I'm your host, Chris with a K. We are here with After the Calm, an amazing local band here from Arizona. I'm not even going to say local band because I'm going to say that they are just an amazing band. And I'm super pumped to have these guys on and to talk and vibe and learn more about your music, about you guys, and what you have going on. So thanks for tuning in. If you're on Facebook, here, Facebook Live. And for all you people out there on the YouTubes and the internets. So welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. So I know that as far as being on a live show or just being on like a podcast or media, like what does that feel like as a band? Like, is it weird? Like, have you done a lot of press?
Well, we've done.
I think it's weird.
I do
a podcast.
I don't think we've ever done live interviews.
Uh-huh.
Well, no, we did the radio show.
Yeah, I think it varies just depending on what we're trying to do. Like, I mean, live, it's on the fly, but when it comes to shows, obviously for that, it's practice makes perfect. So
what's
right.
funny though is like when it comes to like interviews or anything, like the more like on the fly, kind of just like talking off of our heads kind of stuff, we're way better with and like having to like script out something and like
right.
read it. When we do our videos where we have to like at least know what we're going to say, we trip over it. It's like take 4, take 5.
Right, and I feel like it's more natural too. It's like jamming almost.
Yeah.
You know, it's like if you've got like somewhat of an idea of like, all right, we're gonna kind of talk about this and like blah blah blah, or like hey, like here's a song structure, instead of like freaking out over a specific like memorized cover or whatever. Like the first time you run through it. I don't know.
We give ourselves, I think, 30 minutes, and if we're still on the same part, we move on. We don't shelve it or anything, but we're just like, all right, we're wasting time.
yeah.
Right on. Well, if you're not familiar with After the Calm, you absolutely should be. They have an amazing following, and their music is really sick. I would say it's in the vein of like Day to Remember, 4 Year Strong, little Blink in there, just like alternative, little pop punk metal.
All great.
Pretty accurate.
All the above.
All the above.
I won't disagree.
I feel like we get Rise Against a lot with the most
we've
recent
got-
single, Stuck on Repeat.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
That's the most recent single, right?
Yep.
Yeah, we've gotten to the point to where we're done kind of trying to like say what we are. More can just like
right.
we're more interested to hear what other people tell us. Every time that we get new fans and they're like you guys, who you guys totally sound like, and then I'll get like sounded like, oh who. And like it's all
right.
if it's somebody new that we've never heard before, then I'll like run back to one of the guys and say, hey, they said we sounded like these guys. And if it's good, then we're like, yeah.
You're like, I got Ariana Grande.
Yeah.
Which is
Porcelain.
So we got a couple people watching. We got Albert,
Heyo.
Cynthia, Garrett, and Chad.
Hey guys.
What up, y'all? You're tuning into the K-Rad Radio Podcast here with your homies. And you're with the hosts, Chris with a K. I wanted to know, obviously you guys are about to go on tour.
Yes.
Right? And we just went on tour as well, and the amount of prep that goes into it, and the amount of like, oh shit.
Yeah.
We got to do this, that, the other. What's your final checklist as far as with like leading up to the day of like, what are you guys kind of collecting, getting ready for tour?
We have no clue, but at the same time, we're pretty. I think we're getting close to the end, where we think we're set.
Yeah, obviously the goal is to be as prepped as possible. So you think about, what am I going to need? Part of me thinks I'm going to over prep, to be honest, but
right.
Given this is the first time, there's going to be a lot of learning curves. It's going to be, oh, we didn't bring this, or oh, why did I bring this?
Right.
A lot of that.
Right.
I think it's not that we've ever been lazy or not worked this hard before, but I think it's the hardest that we've collectively all together as a band, because like everybody is doing something.
Right.
And it's just it's stressful, but like at the same time we're so amped and excited.
You could feel it. Like I can tell. Like I can feel it, and like from your perspective too, because this is like your baby, right? Like, can you walk me through how the band formed a little bit, as far as just backstory, just for those that aren't as familiar with your guys' music, and kind of like origin story, just briefly?
Yeah, it's been, I think, almost 5 years now. We met Memorial Day of 2014, so yeah, going on 5 years. But
you guys met.
True.
There's
okay,
like there's like two kind of
It started out with me and another person that I work with, and we kind of just got together on Memorial Day. It's funny because David and Hanky, who are in the band with us, also joined us that day, and just later down the road actually ended up joining the band. So technically we were all kind of together, but Logan came a little bit later down the road, found him on Craigslist, which is always a fun story to share.
Oh, men seeking. I mean, I'm just kidding.
Yes.
Classified.
Men seeking.
Classified.
Actually, for the longest time.
But it was men seeking a man. We were looking for
Right.
a
Like
singer.
a gig.
Well,
Not that there's anything wrong
I
with
remember for like the longest time I was looking on Craigslist and like having so many like just bad shots with everybody, and like then I was getting to the point where I was like, you know what, I'm done. I'm just gonna get my day job and just have it be what it is. But then I was like, you know what, I'll make one more post, and then I realized I wasn't even posting in like the musicians page. I was in like the services, like providing a service or something like
you
that.
are.
So there were probably people there looking for like construction workers and stuff, and
Plumber
I'm
or
like,
something.
hey, sooner looking for a pop punk
Housemaids.
band.
No, and I feel like especially in Arizona too, like there's a super prevalent metal scene, and I feel like most of the time they're like, oh, you want to join a band, dude? And it's like metal. And so, like, not that there's anything wrong with metal at all, but if you're looking for more of an alternative scene, I feel like it can be harder to find a home when you're just starting out. So,
Yeah. Well, I think there's and I mean, not to crap on any of the huge mainstream bands, but there's a difference from like the alternative and then like the KUPD, like butt rock, I think. But that's like, I don't think a lot of it's bad, but it's like a lot of it's almost kind of like the pop music of rock, which I feel like when you're talking about that good alternative music that you find, it's rare to find, especially in the Valley. But we've met some pretty good bands that just, they're not super heavy, but they're not like fast punk, but they play alternative rock and they play it good.
That's a jam, man. That's why I like you guys so much. I feel like you guys have that happy medium of like, hey, this is nostalgia, but it's also fresh and just sounds really good. Like your guys' recordings came out really good, really
Thank you.
tight.
We had some really good people working with us.
Yeah, if we're gonna release something, we want to make sure to go all in. Not, I don't know. I'm trying to think of how to say it, but we don't want to not give it our all, because it's, if you're gonna release something, it's quality. It's make sure it's as good as it can be.
Yeah.
You're only releasing it once, so.
Right? It's your name behind it too.
Exactly.
And it's like that's the key. Like I feel like it's easy to get caught up in, oh, we need to do this marketing, or we need to do that thing, or we need to do this. And you do, but first is the music and the songwriting.
Yep.
Yeah.
Always. And it always comes down to that. And it's really like apparent when you can tell which bands focus on what. But I think that you guys found a really good mix, and it's really cool to see you guys have grow into where you are after 5 years. It's a really
appreciate
cool
that, man.
evolution.
Yeah, thank you. Well, and our like influences range so much. 'Cause
Yeah, I was thinking about that earlier. Just each of us have different styles of music. I
we're,
feel like
and our ages range. I mean, I'm the youngest at. I just turned 24 last Friday, and then Hanky is the oldest at 34.
Hanky.
yeah.
So which he's
Hanklin.
he's watching
Hanky
right
on
now.
here? What up, Hanky?
He's watching right now. He's probably thinking, man, I just got out of doing a bunch of interview questions.
He's like, why you gotta throw me under the bus? Say my age.
It's like, we're like 9 minutes into this thing. Are we throwing Hanky under the bus? What's up?
But yeah, I don't know. We got to a point to where we were just like, there's no rules to say like what you can and can't write. Like
Right.
obviously, like to grasp a hard fan base, like you don't want to be too jumping the script, you know, as far as genres.
Right, you want to just cut to melodic jazz.
Right.
Hey, we should try it.
But you
Next
know,
song.
we like sitting on that fence line of like the heavier stuff and then like the more like catchier stuff, and it's worked out for us. In the beginning, it was hard because we'd come to like a metal show and they'd be like, "Oh, you guys are too poppy for us," and so all right, well, let's go play like a punk
Right.
show, and then they'd be like, "Oh, you guys are screaming too much, you guys are too heavy," and we're like, "Oh, like where do we fit in?" But now that we have so much more music to like choose from as far as our set list, we can go play like a full metal show, and then we can like next week go play like a punk show or an alternative show.
That's sick.
It's nice having options.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know, I feel like that's part of the journey, like as being someone that doesn't just like, you're not just, hey, we're a hardcore screamo band and that's what we're gonna do, or like, hey, we're country and we're only gonna play country stuff. Like, when you put yourself in a box like that, it's almost like you can find a home faster, and it's probably faster to pick up a bass, you know, when you're first, like, you're bass fans. But when you go the alternative route, it's like a rite of passage. Like, you're almost not supposed to find your home for a while because you kind of need to cultivate it on your own.
Yeah.
Or, like, latch on to other people that are like, we don't know where we belong. And then all of a sudden you're just found.
We've had like multiple times where we thought that we've found our sound. Like, I think it's just been slowly solidifying our sound. But yeah, I mean, in the beginning, you know, you look at our writing from, you know, our EP when we put out, it came out in October of 2016. So, I mean, and you look at that, and then you look at the 3 singles that we put out at the end of last year, and I think the biggest thing that you see is just we're stronger with our writing our song structures. And
yeah, we're trying to focus a lot more on being cohesive with sound. So the structure is the biggest thing I think what we struggled with in the beginning. When writing music, at least, it's just breaking down the song and making sure it flows well. You're trying to take a listener on a journey, but you don't want to, you know, bring them up and then just drop them while they're way up there.
Yeah.
You know? You got to think about how is it going to be perceived, on top of what's the message we're trying to send across. Like, there's so many elements.
Right. That's I think that's key too. But before, let's talk about message real quick. But I want to take a pause for a second on the audio. Point though, as far as like with structure, and it's almost like, yeah, once you've got your writing process and you're like, okay, this is one album, this is EP, this is what this project is, you look back and you're like, how can we make this better? Right. And it sounds like that's what you guys did, and it came down to the songwriting technique and the structure, and then you started thinking about things like message.
Yep.
And that's a huge part of what this podcast is about. It's all about messages and like, what's your rad message? Like, what are you guys trying to pump out there into the world? You know, that's your own, and to spread, because you do have a platform. And so, you know, could you guys speak on that maybe a little bit?
Do you want to take it away?
Sure. I mean, I don't know. We've never tried to say, you know, we are this band, or we, you know, this is our goal as a band to put this message across. I think one thing that we've always tried to put out there for ourselves, just as a band as a whole, is we're just 5 guys, 5 best friends from the Valley that just love playing music together, love playing live music to crowds. And I mean, we're goofy. I mean, we all like playing video games, and, you know, we all love Rick and Morty, but at the same time, you know, we're all very different, you know, like I said, with our ages, you know. But I think at the end of the day, we really just want to show people that you really can do anything that you want to do, showing us as an example. And just, it's more of just like our songs are kind of a in the moment feeling of where we are, you know. All of our songs, a lot of them really in the earlier stages were like lyrically, were all like moments in my life, or I think events in my life that either made me who I am today or had an impact on my life, and either how that changed me or how I can flip the script and at least relate it to the listener, and then they can somehow take that and put it into their own life.
Right.
I think at the end of the day, we just want to have fun, but also be taken seriously. So it's a matter of try to do as much as we can to put ourselves out there, but also be seen having fun while we're doing it. So, yeah. I mean,
we're the hardest working little kids that you'll meet.
As a personal goal, I would love to just go out, see the road, and just explore new cities, taking our music out there. Even if we can just inspire one person, just make a difference in their life, that would be enough.
Right. Like, do you remember your guys' first shows?
Oh, yep. No.
I do.
Oh, Lord. We struck a chord. You go first.
Well, I've only really been in 2 bands, so, I mean...
Oh, we talking the first show that we've been to or played?
Oh, yeah.
Let's do both. What's your very first show that you ever went to, like, as a kid, and you were like, that was awesome? Or, you know what? Let's take it back. What was the moment did you have a moment when you were at a show because this is what happened to me. Like I was at, I went to a Foo Fighters show. It's my first one ever.
Nice.
And when Dave Grohl came out and he just like walked across the stage and was playing his guitar, and he was like, "How the fuck are you, Portland?" Blah, and just did his thing. And I was just, holy shit! I didn't know someone could be this cool.
He's awesome.
And this is his job. Like,
right.
What?
And suddenly you're filled with inspiration.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, you're here.
There was never
trying to do it.
Weirdly enough, there was never that moment for me, and I don't want to sound like corny, but like I kind of just always knew that music had to be some part of my life. I mean, I can remember as early as like the first grade, like just walking through school, like singing in my head and stuff, and I it wasn't till like I knew I wanted to do music, but I don't think it was till like maybe like the end of junior high, like coming into high school, when I was like started discovering the bands and the scene and stuff, and then I saw like these bands playing these shows with these crowds that I've never seen in my life. They're moshing and crowd surfing and just diving off the stage, and everybody's singing all the words, and I was like, I looked at that, and I looked at like all the pop stuff, which I love pop. I love pop music. I love jazz. I love all types of music. But like,
right.
And you go to those shows, and it's a filled out stadium. Everybody's sitting down, you know, and you're 30 feet away from the stage if you're at the front row. So I just saw these shows, and I was like, this is just like this energy. And it got to the point where I was like, I need to experience it.
Right.
So that was my second show. Because real quick flashback, my first show ever, my mom took me and my little brother to the Jobber.com Arena, and we saw the High School Musical live concert. Zac Efron wasn't there though. He was shooting Hairspray with John Travolta, so they had Drew Seeley. But yeah, my second show ever was Warped Tour. So I kind of redeemed myself.
That's a good.
And that was when I had already been into like bands and stuff by that point. I was already in love with like A Day to Remember and everything. And I didn't know, like when I first went there, I think the first band I saw today was Mice and Men. And
love them.
I was so timid and like at the back of the crowd, and then I remember just like towards the end of the day, like by the end of the day, I was on a wall of death asking how I was going to do it. At my first ever like alternative scene kind of festival and all, and that was just like it was like, oh, I love this scene. But then like as I started seeing more shows, I started just seeing the energy that these vocalists were just exuding off of them to the crowd, and I was just like, I want that. I think it's just like when I get up on stage, like I love the idea that like for those 25, 30 minutes, like I own this stage, like almost in a way, like I can do and say whatever I want to a standard, but and nobody can do it. You know, it's my time, and it's cool that like I can use that time positively by just putting on the best show that I possibly can and having people enjoy themselves. So that's
awesome.
And then I think the first show I ever played was with a band in high school. I think I played at the Underground, and we played the Underground way too many times.
Shout out to the Now.
Yeah, it shouted to Now, because that was my last show ever with that band, and my first show ever with this band was the Nile. So I was like, I never kind of stopped as far as like going up. You know, I just paused for 4 years and then came right back at it.
Like, yeah, there we go.
We got a lot of people watching now.
I see.
Hello, guys.
I see.
Loves you.
It's kind of hard to read the comments from here, but
I can do a read through if you'd like.
We got. I'm seeing just a lot of people. I'm seeing old bosses. I'm seeing mother-in-laws.
We got Nick Cannon on here. Wait, no, it's Nick Cento. Just kidding. But
hello everybody watching on the live.
You guys rock. Keep it up. From Josh, Kim McGill, my daughter's wonderful hubby Logan. We are so proud of all of you. Aww.
Yeah.
That's wholesome.
That's nice. What was your first show then?
First show was Backstreet Boys. We talked about
nice.
this. Remember? It was at what's currently auction. I remember being in the lawn, so I remember like just how packed it was. I was like super young.
Right?
Oh yeah, I was like mimicking,
Yeah.
on cue. But When I think about like first inspiration show, it's Warped Tour. It's the same venue
Yeah.
too. It's the same place. I can't even remember what year it was.
No,
but
well, mine was a cricket pavilion.
well,
Well,
it's
auction.
auction.
Yeah,
It's all
true.
this. It's
The
damn
best.
same thing.
I will put this on the record right now live. I'm sorry. The best ever Arizona Warped Tour venue was Quail Run Park. Quail Run Park. It was nothing but grass, soft, nice grass. The last year they had it at
I think it was Fear Farm.
where Fear Farm was, and they had it
No,
on
no.
hot black asphalt.
No, it was auction.
Yeah, it was auction, and they had it
Before
out.
that was Fear
They
Farm.
had it out on the pavement, and that was, even though it was the last Warped Tour, it was bittersweet that we had to be out
It's
on the
rough.
It is
But
It's rough. I went to one
nothing
in
will
Vegas.
ever beat Quail Run Park. That was the best venue for Warped Tour. It was all grass forever.
Yeah, and now it's done. As I say, it was like how many
It's-
years? 15
The,
years.
the tour itself is
Yeah,
done.
the
The event is
cross
still going.
I
country.
think it'll still be a thing, but just like an annual event of like 1 or 2 dates.
I mean, we're already seeing the
Right.
void be filled in with
Yeah,
other
I mean,
festivals.
A Day to Remember's been doing it, you know, with Self Help, and Dance Gavin Dance, one of my favorite bands. They did Swan Fest a couple weeks ago, and so, I mean, I think you're seeing all these. You're starting to see a lot of bands realize that they can do these things not only by themselves, you know, especially with Day to Remember. They're so big, they don't need a label. You know, they can do a lot of stuff, and so. But I think they're also seeing that stuff like Warped Tour is not lasting forever. You know, it's not going to be there forever. So they're getting to a point to where now we can inspire the new generation of festivals and shows and stuff.
Right, and I think that helps to give hope because it's easy to get disheartened when you're not, you know, following the trend of what's hot. Like if you're doing doom rap, or if you're doing like if you're a DJ, you know, making trap, and, you know, different things.
You know, there's an underground fucking city in Seattle.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
is.
Like.
Yeah.
I still can't really comprehend it because like they're telling me there's like the road is built over this city and I can't. My question is, do you want to play Magic? I wish I could play Magic right now.
Ooh, that reminds me. All right, maybe we could touch back on this real quick. Magic
Maryland.
brought it up. So, the whole concept of a magician never reveals his tricks, right? I feel like that applies to when you're writing a song and it's like open for interpretation and you choose to not explain your lyrics. Like, how do you guys
Yeah.
feel about bands that do that or like refuse to explain their lyrics?
If you can't tell, I'm obsessed with Avenged Sevenfold, but they said that in one of their interviews. They were talking about how like their songs are so open for interpretation that they don't want to go out of their way to say exactly what they wrote because they don't want to take away that element from the fan. Like the whole allowing you to interpret your ways, there's something special about that. So, I mean, a lot of songs are very straightforward with their message, but Avenged Sevenfold, they have a lot of like all over the place. You're like, what are they talking about? Like they use a lot of biblical references, and I don't know. It's just cool. It's cool seeing a band to say, hey, we don't want to give away all of our secrets. We'll let you figure it out.
Right. I think that's a cool ethos to have. I feel like you guys get that too, which is cool.
Yeah, I generally like usually tend to write from like a first person perspective, and then like it's either like David or I'll sit down with Kody and we'll actually go over, and it helps because he's able to see it from like an outside view and be able to say, you know, like, okay, well, what are you trying to say right here? And then I can explain him, oh, I mean this, and he's like, okay, well.
Sometimes
it
it's a
would
matter
make-
of just switching around words so that the
Yeah.
message makes sense. It's like, how are they going to interpret it? That's a
Yeah.
lot of what we do.
Sometimes a song can make or break. Like, sure, like if you have like a very personal thing in your life or an event or something you can write about, but if you make it so personal to where nobody can relate to, then
Right.
like there's not really any substance there. Whereas like when you kind of open it a little bit more, you know, instead of making it a song about your third cousin screwing you over, you know,
Right.
You make it just
Damn
about
it, Becky.
yeah, you just make it about, you know, a song about somebody who you thought you trusted turning their back on you. And then that right there is just way broader,
Right.
you know?
Well, because I think that comes down to like ultimately that what you were talking about with like the energy of like the bands that you saw when you're in the crowd and like the energy that they're giving off, and then the energy that the vocalists is getting. Like you guys are feeding each other. There's like an energy exchange there.
Mhm.
You're,
And the
in-
crowd, for sure.
Right, and I feel like the music has to capture, that essence through the way that it connects with the fans and the way that it connects with your audience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really hard part. That's one of the really hard parts about writing a really good song.
Writing genuine.
To be genuine, and for, because I feel like we all have these emotions and these thoughts, and like, what's that song by Neck Deep where it's like, there are a million other people just like you.
Oh, Gold Steps.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
And it's so true.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it's so important to have bands that go out and follow their truth, because what you think, and what you're putting out there, if you message it in the right way, if you package it in the right way, it can connect with so many people, which is so
true.
powerful.
I've always looked at like that kind of music, like true, genuine, like real music from the heart. It's almost like I've always described it as an emotion or a moment in time captured within however long the song is, captured in that 3 minutes or whatever, and it's you trying to
share an experience.
Yeah, share this feeling with somebody else through song, and I think it's like the coolest thing ever when you can actually get through to, even if, like he said, even if it's just the one person in that crowd, as long as you're able to connect with them, there is some sort of an energy. Like you said, if you get a crowd who's really vibing with you, I mean, it can literally make your show 10 times better. Like, make you guys play better, and it's crazy. The crowd, I feel like, definitely is a huge involvement as far as like our energy and our adrenaline during our sets.
Right.
We feed off of it.
So if you're out there and you see these guys coming to your city, come out. And if you come out to see them, which is awesome, don't just sit in the back. Get crazy. Come up to the front. Enjoy it. Take videos and just vibe and connect. Put yourself out there.
Yeah, if you like moshing, if you like crowd surfing, even just banging your head and throwing your hands up, we got songs for everybody.
Yeah, it's crazy when I think about the writing process, like our recent music. We've just been thinking about what do we want to do with like this song. Like Captive, for instance, it's a bit of a heavier song, but when we started with the music itself, and we were thinking, how do we get the crowd like really, like how can we create like a crazy mosh pit?
Yeah.
And so it kind of went in towards a metal direction, and then eventually you started writing lyrics and we formed what the message is going to be, but then you start playing that song after it's released, people learn the song, and next thing you know, there's your mosh pit. And it's so cool being on stage and seeing it come alive.
Fun fact for anybody, a good amount of the lyrics on Captive were written by this guy right here.
Well,
Ooh, writer cred.
Yeah.
You're right. I mean, I didn't go out of my way to write them. I've just said those lines, and
I think you
so.
showed it to me, and I was like, oh, this totally fits the message of what I'm trying to put into the song. And I think like the whole first verse, and maybe even the second verse, minus the acidic whatever line.
But then, like, think about Porcelain. Like, that's the opposite end of the spectrum. It's a lot more upbeat, and I don't know the best way to describe Porcelain, but that's a song where we wrote it thinking, let's write a chorus that's catchy, and let's write something that we can hear them singing. And now it's like,
yeah, David challenged me hard for that. He was like, I won't. He goes, we won't continue this song until you give me a chorus that I'm happy with. And we were.
That's awesome.
We were grinding hard, and I finally I was like, played him. I sang him the line for the chorus for Porcelain, and he's like, that's it, that's the one. And what's really cool is that we did all three of the songs. One's super heavy, one's more of our traditional kind of punk style that we've always been, and then Porcelain, which is kind of different as far as like more of a mellower kind of alternative sound. And we don't really know how to describe it, but we did them all to market to three different crowds, and they did so in a really cool way. And I think it was like, it's the show, we do have a song for everybody.
Yeah, versatility.
Yeah,
it's good to show that we have a wide spectrum, but we also just wanted to see who catered to what. It was just a cool little experiment for us.
I was mostly nervous for Porcelain to come out because I think.
Yeah, but now it's one of the best.
Yeah, people love it. I had friends and stuff like sending me like Snapchats and then singing to the chorus, and I think I think Porcelain was one of the first songs that we've recently actually heard the crowd singing.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think we released it, and like that weekend we played the show with Waking Things, and it was like 2 days people had to learn the song, but I believe that was the first time I completely heard the crowd
Yeah.
singing over you,
Yeah.
which is phenomenal from the drums. Like to be
Wow.
behind all the music and hearing it, I'm just like, this is really happening.
And that right there. That's that feeling I was
That
telling you about.
moment.
Like seeing like Story So Far. Like when you go to a Story So Far concert, 95% of the crowd is singing every single word.
Yeah,
like
I believe it.
And they are all just on sing. So when I saw that, I was like, man, I want at least one person to be singing all the lyrics, even half the lyrics.
Just making that connection.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
that's when you're able to look and be like, not only did they take the time to learn the lyrics and actually read them, but it actually means something to them, you know?
Right.
That one dude who sang Greenway at the Marquee
Yeah.
probably should have taken a little bit more time to learn the lyrics.
Well, he also
And probably
showed
had a little less
a little
alcohol.
less to drink. He was really cool though because he was like a new fan. He was like, I heard you guys like 2 weeks ago and I instantly fell in love. Like went online and looked at all your music and so like that's so cool to like know. And he was introduced by somebody else, you know, a friend of his. And so like just to be able to like see somebody like just so quickly like hop onto us, like I don't know, it's cool to see our music get a fan to bring on another fan.
Yeah.
The organic is the best way too. Fully endorse ATC here on the K-Rad Radio podcast. I wanted to know, with your guys' upcoming shows, with the tour that's coming up, what show do you think you're most excited going into it, and what show do you think could be the sleeper?
Oh God, that's a hard question.
So we haven't been to any of these cities.
No.
So
We haven't been to the
No.
House of Bards, but we have been in Tucson.
oh yeah, well I guess Tucson is the only one that counts. The last date of the tour, we've played Tucson, but as far as cities, I think I'm most interested in Denver just because I've never been to Colorado. I'd be really excited to go see
Yeah.
that. But venue-wise, I don't know. Again, we've never been to any of them, so I think it's gonna be.
We've kind of tried to look ahead. I'm trying to like look at all the like trying to find photos and stuff of like all the venues and most of all of them have like some pretty nice looking stages. You know, enough room. Obviously, you know, there's your kind of dive bars, but even those, I mean. They have their own section at least, you know. They have a stage for the band to be on. I think I'm most excited just to meet new people.
Yeah, it's a.
To be out on the road.
Yeah, it's.
that.
I mean, I mean, nothing against anybody in the valley, but I mean, we're slowly starting to get to the point where like everybody's kind of really heard us. You know, we've been around for a little bit, but when you get a new fan, it's so cool because when we played Ridgecrest, that was kind of the first time in a while that we went out and played to a new crowd, and we had people. I mean, we had this one girl come up. Oh, what was her name, man?
Raven.
Yes, Raven. She came up and she was like just ecstatic to see it. She was like, and she made like a lengthy, like amazing, like Instagram post about us, tagging us. She was like, I wasn't even expecting to really see a band like this tonight, and it was so cool to just be like, that's the one person right there. The night was made. That was the one person.
She definitely gave us that small town vibe that really appreciate when bands come through.
Yeah.
Right.
Like they're so undersaturated that when we can come in, we can just like, I don't know.
No, you're doing it right, because
Yeah.
like when we went to, like when we did ours, we were most successful in smaller towns. Because when we went to like Salem, Oregon, like that's where I'm from. Like that show was fantastic. It was like not a lot of bigger bands come to Salem. If they come, they'll go to Portland. And in contrast to that, when we played LA, we were in downtown LA, and it was like a Monday, and like none of the other bands brought anybody, and so it was like a handful of our friends that came out, and it's so much more difficult to pull sometimes with where the location is, and especially in a place like LA that's just so saturated with so much other music and other things. Like there's so much competition out there that if it's not promoted properly, that it can just be an awful show. But when you play just outside of LA, or if you play just outside of a major city, like for Tucson, for example, even like going to Tucson, like it just gives much more of an opportunity for yourselves to be accepted, because not a lot of people, not a lot of bands, will make the journey out there, which is unfortunate. But I think that's really smart that you guys are doing that.
Yeah, I think in Ridgecrest was like perfect example. 1 hour north of LA.
Yeah.
It's like if we played in LA, they can see a show every single day. Why would they want to come to yours? I mean, again, you have to promote it really well if you're going to get them to come out on a day that they could be going seeing anybody else.
Right.
And of course, variables like Monday, but
Right. Monday.
Mondays.
The dirty taint of the week.
Ugh.
Sorry.
Yesterday was Monday.
Bad visual there. But all right. Well, I wanted to wrap this up here in a little bit, but I do have a segment that I was trying to do with each podcast, and it's called Explain the Gram.
Oh no.
And I wanted to know what was up with the gram where the homie was getting proposed to.
What?
Do you know what I'm talking about?
On our Instagram?
On your Instagram.
Pull up our Instagram. See what he's talking about.
You can pull this up right now.
Oh, he's got it.
someone's being proposed to. When
Somebody-
you say that, the first person I think of is Thomas, which, Thomas, if you're watching, hello. But that wasn't our show. He proposed to his wife a few years ago on stage.
Really? At one of your guys' shows?
No. He's the only person I can think of that's proposed at a show.
Okay, here it is.
Oh.
You're trolling us.
Yeah, it's an onion ring.
So describe it to the people that can't,
He went back.
can't see it,
So
that are
this-
listening in. What's going on in this
this
picture?
is-
Where were we? It's a restaurant.
That is, I don't even say, it just says hashtag boy band, hashtag bar, hashtag practice.
It's a picture of Hanky and David.
No. It's it is. It's Hanky giving David a onion ring proposal.
He's putting an onion ring on his finger, which I do remember Hanky quickly devouring shortly afterwards.
Got it.
Yes.
So what you're saying is that it wasn't consummated and it didn't
No.
last very long.
I know,
Were there vows said at this ceremony?
No, because if you can look carefully, Hanky's mouth is full of food, so he could not talk at the moment.
Reasonable excuse.
And David was just awestruck, with how nice the onion ring was. It was beer battered, not panko. So he went
It's
the
a
extra
glossy
mile.
golden brown.
He said yes, they just haven't planned outside that.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair. Well, gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. I want to know, before you go, tell us what you're super excited about coming up for yourselves and what your rad message is, your last message you want to send out to the people.
You just want to rack it down? Okay. Well, all right, for anybody who doesn't know, we are going on tour. You can head over to our Facebook page. We have all the dates, all the information for anybody in those cities. Let your friends know. We are super excited to go out and meet everybody. For anybody here who doesn't know, in AZ, we have our kickoff show April 19th over at the Rebel Lounge. We're going to be playing with Interfate, who will obviously be going on tour with us. We will have No Refills playing as well.
Thank you again, Chris, because that was awesome that you guys were able to jump on with us.
Yeah, man,
Yeah.
we're super pumped to play with you guys. You kidding me? I know Matt's been creeping on you guys. I was like, we gotta find a sister. We need to play with these guys. They're awesome.
Yeah, he's been trying really hard, and Havasu, I wish we could have made that, but that would have been so cool. It's cool
Yeah.
that even though Havasu didn't happen, right afterwards we were able to make it happen. You guys are able to join us.
No doubt.
Also, to not take away, As For Me and Ineptero will also be playing on that kickoff show.
Yes.
So we are super, super excited to play that. We're going to try to make that, obviously, as well as all the other shows, the best show that we can. We have a lot planned for it. So for anybody who doesn't already have tickets for that, hit one of us up. We have pre-sales at $10. We're also doing a little giveaway right now for $20. You can get a ticket and a sweet exclusive tour T-shirt. So
Beautiful.
you'll have yourself a cool knockout tour T-shirt to show everybody that you were there when After the Calm brought the storm. I've been working on that for a while.
How do I follow that up?
Well, I thank you to everybody for watching, and just thank you to everybody who's been supporting us so far. So now you
Rad message you want to send out to your people.
We love you guys. Thank you for just being with us for almost 5 years now.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think that we started in a bedroom with a couple of ideas, And now we're doing awesome things like this podcast.
It's I know it's super corny, but like we I know I can speak for all of us when I say like we live for this. Like we just, I don't know, playing live shows is one of the funnest things that we can do because we love just being able to play for people and just being able, like I said, to just exude that energy. So thank you guys for giving us that chance and that platform to be able to do that. Thank you very much.
Best feeling in the world. Thanks for tuning in to the K-Rad Radio Podcast, your place for anything and everything rad if it's got a cool message and just helps to spread positivity and bring a little bit more light into this place that we call the world. So thanks for tuning in, and thank you again after the calm.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
You have a closed mind, I knew it from the start. A bomb shell taking casualties with her legs spread apart. You don't deserve the recognition of being the fame. This was your choice and my mistake. You left me with the thought of to blame for this. The lies keep digging up, tables turn again. It won't be easy to forget, but you didn't make it much harder. Yeah! Manipulation by so great a speech. About her ceilings that you fucking did. My mind's clouded with red, cause you found comfort in another man's bed. Hesitant to the thought of why it's joy. What did I saw? String me along again, then jump ship while